I'm so excited to get you guys trained up today. The title for today's training is Amateurs Join, Champions Launch. Today we're really focused on launching and building some skills, just a few skills that you're going to need to launch. Now, when we think about launching, when I think about launching the business, I want to be on the same page here. There's only 3 ways that we launch the business, okay? And I'm gonna train on all this. I'm gonna train on these ways, and I'm gonna train the skills. But those ways, the ways we launch, are either a Facebook post, we work the phones, or we have to lead to a Zoom, or we host an in-home meeting. Now, let me share my story with you. For those of you who don't know me and in our journey, for us, our journey started on May 11th, 2024. And let me tell you about May 11th, first I got to go back to May 10th. See, because on May 10th, we had a trip booked to Turks and Caicos. And it was an amazing trip. We already had it booked and paid for. And we went to renew our passports. And when I would fill out the paperwork for our passports, you can, for the same day passports, you can fill out the paperwork, and they say come back at a specific time. Well, we filled out the paperwork, we went shopping, we came back, and I didn't receive a passport. I received a little letter that said, according to the IRS, you will not be receiving your passport because you're delinquent in taxes. That was a gut punch. Called my CPA. He's like, Joe, they finally got your attention. Now we got to pay the bill. Didn't have the money to pay, right? Didn't have the money to even pay him to start the process. Then I had to drive home, look my daughters in the eyes and sit all 4 of them down and tell all of them, hey, we're not going on this trip that we had planned for almost, 10 months. And then with tears in her eyes, my 7-year-old, I'll never forget when she was crying and she was like, Daddy, can you please call them and tell them we really want to go? She wants me to call the IRS and ask for mercy. And I'll never forget that moment. See, some of you got to have one of those, that moment. See, it's called the bounce back theory. What the enemy meant for evil, God can use for good. Your lowest moments, when you hit rock bottom, that can be actually that's a rocket ship that you can climb onto that and launch you. And I'll never forget telling myself in that moment, I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm going to do whatever it takes. That was May 10th. I had watched Lifewave for almost 2 years. We didn't, I saw the momentum. I saw the stories. I was actually in another company at the time. And that was when I made the decision to cut everything that cut some other priorities, other opportunities, and change my plan, because my plan wasn't working, and hook my rocket ship to the rocket ship of Lifewave. And now here we are today with our passports. Now, with that, I want to share a disclaimer, because I am going to be talking about my story, but nothing is promised here. We can't promise you a single solitary penny. I'm not going to embellish a single solitary fact, and I can't promise you a penny. But with that, I want to share this disclaimer. Anytime we talk about people's success or what they've accomplished in the business. And let me go here to my screen real quick. Whoa, look at that guy. That's age reversing right there. But let me share this disclaimer, okay? It is important for you to know that the product testimonials are a direct reflection of someone's personal story, and they may not be typical for all people. We do not treat or cure chronic sickness or diseases. Lifewave phototherapy patches do not heal or cure people. God designed the human body to heal itself, given the right conditions for the body to function at its optimal level. Consult your healthcare professional or doctor for advice regarding treatments of sickness and disease. Now, there are absolutely no guarantees of income or financial gain. Income testimonials vary according to the work ethic and the area in which you live. Lifewave is a business model that rewards partners for efforts in selling high-value products to consumers and building teams that sell high-value products to consumers throughout the world. There are many variables to contribute to successful money earnings. There are also many variables, that contribute to a person's lack of earning money, including personal hygiene, appearance and dress, emotional health, marriage unity, talkativeness, greed, bossiness, mental health, and many others. Lifewave is not responsible for a person's individual shortcoming in human relations and not being able to add value to consumers and other brand partners, distributors throughout the world. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, we want to let you guys know that Lifewave is a for-profit business that is the fastest growing direct sales company on the planet. When I looked at this opportunity, I looked at the growth, I looked at the momentum, I looked at the leadership, and I knew I was the variable. Now, when we talk about launching, this is one of those things that if we focus on this and do it well, it can set you up for success. So I'm going to read something to you to set up today's training. This is from the book 5 Types of Wealth from Sahil Bloom. And let me read this to you. Outcomes follow attention. Scattered attention leads to random, ordinary outcomes. Concentrated attention leads to focused, extraordinary outcomes. We see a perfect example in the story of a young Isaac Newton. Deep, intense, deliberate attention deployed in a short, unique window of time. A distraction-free, plague-lockdown environment created astonishing outcomes. In an average environment, output is fixed to input. 1 unit of input creates 1 unit of output. If you want to create 2 units of output, you need to generate 2 units of input. This fixed relationship keeps you busy, scattered, and trapped. You're running faster and faster, but never achieving the 10 or 100 units of output that would constitute getting somewhere. Using our Toy Story analogy, remember the Toy Story where he gets the magnifying glass? Now listen to this. The sun can shine for hours on the rocket fuse, but it will never set it alight. The fixed relationship of the unit of input from the sun and the corresponding unit of output of heat on the fuse is insufficient to create the desired end state. Now, guys, some of you are like, this is going to be mind-blowing because you've been sharing a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here. I'm talking about a launch that can set your business up for success years to come. Now, listen to this. The magnifying glass changes the game. It concentrates the energy from the sun, so the same single unit of input creates 100 units of output of heat on the fuse. The fixed relationship is broken to unlock asymmetric output and achieve the desired end state, the lit fuse. Sir Isaac Newton, Lionel Messi. They say Lionel Messi walks around, the greatest soccer player of all time. He walks a lot, but when he sees his moments, Dodie, he runs and exerts all the energy he needs to be in the right place at the right time. Warren Buffett became famous because they directed their attention to a limited number of moments and opportunities to consistently create 1,000 plus units of output per unit of input. Now, I'm going to end with this. In the context of your life, concentrated attention is the dedicated deep focus, y'all say deep focus, on the high leverage projects, opportunities, people, movements, and moments that truly matter. A launch is something that truly matters, and it requires you to go all in for that first month, that first season, that first week, that first day, that first week, that first 90 days. Now, listen to this. Attention is what allows you to get ahead, to stop running faster, more units of input, and start running smarter, higher output per unit of input. It requires appropriate project selection and rejection. Wow. What you're saying yes to and what you're saying no to. Saying yes to a few high leverage things and no to everything else. Attention needs to be directed, managed, and harnessed. As attention is, here's the last couple sentences. As attention is deployed efficiently and effectively into the key moments or opportunities of import, the Kairos time, you break the fixed relationship between inputs and outputs in your life. You put in the same input but generate significantly more output. The same amount of effort yields dramatically improved results. With this fundamental shift, time morphs from a fixed asset that you must take to a dynamic asset that you can make. time enters the realm of your control. I don't know about you, but that is powerful. And that is what I did to create a business that launched us in to the top, at the time, the highest level in the company in 5 months. And so I'm going to go back and tell you exactly what I focused on and then teach you those skills to learn how to launch. You guys good with that? And I'm telling you, what I just gave you is gold. That's from the book, 5 Types of Wealth by Sahil Bloom. Okay, so when I launched the business, I brought some experience to the business, 13 years of experience. I did not bring a team though. I brought a list of people and some goals and some vision. It all starts with your why. Listen, a why is not always about money. Ron Petrofesso on my team is a business owner, and he used to own car dealerships. He said, Joe, one time a woman came into my car dealership, and she was dressed to the tens. He said she was very polished. She sat down and she said, I want a sales job. And he said, ma'am, okay, but tell me your story. And she said, well, I don't need the money. She said, we are millionaires. But last night, my husband, we were having dinner with my friends, and my husband said, praise God, my wife has a husband like me because she couldn't make it on her own. And she was like, that hit something in me, and I want to show him that I can provide for myself. And Ron hired her. She was the #1 sales manager. She outsold everyone that year. He said she was killing it. But why? She had purpose. She had a drive. Good, bad, or indifferent, It's like, something was driving her. At the end of the day, I feel like you need to have a purpose greater than, just proving someone wrong. You need to have a purpose that serves humanity, that adds value. But you need to have something that gets you started in the game. For me, my purpose was never letting my children down like that. My purpose was getting out of debt, because that was the first time I've really experienced the shackles of debt. Okay? So my purpose was taking the stress off my wife, where she didn't have to count pennies to pay bills, where I could fill up the gas tank, all the time, where we can go to Natural Grocers, Sprouts. For me, it's like every time you walk in a Walmart, it's like 95% of the stuff is harmful for your body. It's like, man, what is this blue toothpaste doing? Like, I'm going to put this on the bumper of my car and clean it off. Why am I putting this stuff in my mouth? To afford the good things that are good for you. Think about that. And so that was my why. When I was calling people, I knew what my why was. My why wasn't just I'm trying this out. No, I had a why that was bigger than someone else's no. So you got to determine your why. So let me show you now what you need to, where you guys need to go. So as I'm training you on this, everything I'm training you is from this. When you go to the classroom, you need to go to the steps to success. And this is where you need to camp out on. You need to determine your why. You need to determine your so that before you talk to anybody. I had my so that. Now, this is the foundational piece. This is the iceberg. If you guys would look at an iceberg, there's a much larger piece below the surface than there is above. Why did I move so fast? Because I had my iceberg. I knew my why. I knew my so that. So I want everyone to write down your so that. Your so that is this. I will be earning XYZ by XYZ so that. See, if you don't know where you're going, nobody else is getting on your ship. Nobody else is getting on your train. I knew exactly where I was going. And I'm going to tie that into how I talk to people. Okay? So that's the first thing you need is you need your so that. Before you make a Facebook post, before you call anyone, you don't need to understand the binary completely. You don't even need to understand the 9 ways we get paid. You need to understand, manager is, 1 on the left, 1 on the right. Manager 2 is 2 on the left, 2 on the right. That's all you need to know is, left, right, left, right, left, right. Get your structure in place. That's all I really needed to know. And now I needed to know my why. So I needed to know, and so my why was clear. And again, this was my why. I wanted to be earning $10,000 a month in 90 days to take all the stress off my wife and get out of debt. That was my why. Okay, now let me show you something else that I want you to watch. If you haven't watched today, it's paramount. When you go to the 3 sets of fundamentals, okay, this is exactly how I talk to people. So now I have my why. Next, I make my list, guys. I made my list. And how did I make my list? I had my list of 220 names. So all I did for my list was in my phone, we have something called notes. Okay? Now, I called my list cash flow. I called it cash flow. And I started just putting names on there. Don't overcomplicate this. For me, I started thinking of people that would actually pick up the phone when I called them. I didn't think about who's the most successful, who's the... No. I just needed names. Names on the list. So I thought, okay, who do I have relationship with, credibility with? Who are the first top people that I can call? They're actually going to hear me out for a few minutes. Let's put those names down. Boom! By the way, I didn't call anyone for at least 48 hours because I enrolled, I established my goals, I'm getting my list down, and I'm developing a plan. So I'm going to go step by step of what I did. So first I started with my purpose, I started with my goals, then I started with my list. And I started writing down the list, the names of the list. Bum, 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 bum. Praise God that number 28 was Penny Carpenter. What would have happened if I didn't put Penny's name? Raise your hand if you're on Penny's team. Look at how many people are on here because I put a name down. Okay? So I put that name down and she was number 28. Again, not by my favorite people. Like, look, my dad is number 22. Dad. I even had to put dad down. Okay? Ryan Price, number 1. Jordan, 2. Umair, 3. Did you guys realize I just enrolled Umair two weeks ago? 2 years later, and he was number 3 on my list. He's a physician. I enrolled him because finally, 2 years later, someone came to his office wearing a patch, and he asked them, hey, tell me about the patch. They told him the results. Umair calls me back and said, all right, I'm seeing clients wearing the patch. Let's get started. Boom! How powerful is that? It's a process. It is a process. Okay? So that was the first. So that's a part of it is I've created my list. No list equals no work. Guys, rockets go from sketchpad to launchpad. Homes are built from, the blueprint to the home. Everything in life happens twice. Once on paper, once in reality. If you have a dream about someone, if you have a thought about someone, you need to write their name down or you may lose that forever. Okay, so now I have my list. Check. Boom. Next is, what am I inviting them to? So Danny McDaniel did 2 private Zooms for me. Two Zooms. And you may say, hey, I would like someone to do a private Zoom for me. I tell them, I want at least 20 people. If you can get at least 20 people on a Zoom, I'll do a Zoom for you. If not, don't make any excuses. You can invite people to the Monday Zooms, the Tuesday Zooms, the Wednesday Zooms, or if your leader presents, they can do a private Zoom for you. This is why leaders need to step up. Y'all say step up. If you're a leader, if you've been here longer than a few months, you should be presenting for your teams. You should be able to download that and host a private Zoom and present. And so I always tell people, if your goal to have a great private Zoom should be at least 20 people. But in order to get 20 people on a Zoom, you're going to need at least 40 confirmations. Did you guys realize that? That's a lot of work. Because if you say, hey, I want 20 people on a Zoom, did you understand that half of them will not show up to a Zoom? So in order to have 20 people on, you need to have 40 people that say they're going to be on. Now, I called this Whataburger Week, guys. I started Monday morning. I think I enrolled on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I was, getting my goals down, getting my plan, scheduled a couple launch Zooms that I had, and then Monday hit the ground running, boom, and I hit the ground, picking up the phone, calling people one by one, boom, 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 boom. Now I'm going to take you into those conversations, okay, of what I share. But first, I want to show you this chart right here. I mastered this. If you're like, Joe, what? And this is in the steps to success. You guys need to watch this training. I mastered this training, the fundamentals. Why did I have such a good launch? Because I mastered the fundamentals, which was wear the patch, engage with people, send this as info. When I talked to them, this is what I sent everybody. Then I followed up. Well, Joe, how did you follow up? Well, I followed up. Anytime I had my list of people, and then anytime someone got on a Zoom, or anytime someone was exposed to a three-way phone call or a Zoom, I wrote their name down. I wrote the date that they were on a call and what it was. Three-way phone call with Danny. Got on the Zoom with Danny. Three-way phone call with Daniel Plant. And I wrote a little note and the date so I didn't miss people. I call this Project 100. I just made 100 squares, and I've done like 2 or 3 of these already, in the business. So, this is my best tool to follow up. You just buy a 50-cent cardboard and make 100 squares, 10 by 10, and this is how you can follow up with people. Show the plan. Well, when I was new, guys, I didn't have to show the plan. I didn't have to explain advanced, premium, none of that. The leaders show the plan and answer the questions. Here's where I see most people miss out. Your vision, team vision, corporate vision. Here's where I mastered that phone call. Now I'm going to role play with you and share what my phone call consisted of. And this is why I won. This is why I won. So I hit the ground running on Monday morning. And again, I had headphones. It was in May. It was spring. Weather was nice. I don't know about you, but I can't be. You got to know you. I cannot be in my office talking to someone like this. There's no energy in that. Dodie knows what I'm doing. What am I doing, Dodie? I have the headphones on, and I'm walking, and I'm pacing. She knows I'm pacing. This may be some elementary stuff, but this is profound stuff. Do you guys know you? I'm looking at Mike. I'm looking at Jim Marvin. Jim, do you know what makes you come alive? Do you know what makes you at your peak? It's like when I was an athlete. I knew what I needed to perform. I knew what kind of equipment I needed. I knew if I needed my ankles taped. I knew when I played college football, I knew if I needed my eye black. I knew what I needed to be at my best when I was in the game. But again, this is not performance. One of my mantras is, I have nothing to prove. I only have something to give. Y'all need to say, listen, I have something to give. I'm changing lives on this phone call. But can you guys see how fired up I am? How I'm committed to this? How it's a purpose? How I'm not calling just 5 people, and the tsunami that's in me, the tidal wave that's in me is going to catch other people who are looking for more, and they're going to come with me. It's what's flowing out of me that's what's catching them and moving along with Lifewave's vision. If I don't have the tsunami in me, the tidal wave in me, it's not going to affect others. Okay? So I know my vision. I can tell someone my vision, and I know my team vision. This is just me. My vision was 3 to 5 people, $3,000 to $5,000 in 3 to 5 months. It was 3 to 5. That was my vision. That's just something that I believed. Why? Because other people were making that kind of money in Lifewave. So I had my goal, and Brittany Francis, when I called Danny and Diane, I said, who's making $10,000? They said, Brittany. I said, well, if Brittany can do it, I can do it. Okay? So that was my goal, 10,000, 90 days. And then I saw other people making 3 to 5,000 in that amount of time. So I was like, if other people can do it, my team can do it. So now I'm going to teach you how this phone call was. Guys, it's all about the preview. You're got to be a great preview to lead people to the great movie. Okay? So now I have my list and I'm picking up the phone. And we're talking about the phone launch right now. I'm not talking about a meeting launch or a Facebook post. I'm going to get to that. Now I'm picking up the phone and I'm calling people, and here's how I start the call. If they don't answer, I just say, hey, it's life-changing. Angie, it's life-changing. Call me back. It's very important. Because it is life-changing. I'm not texting anyone any message or anything like that. So when I call people, I'm calling Robert, and I'm saying, hey, Robert, I'm calling you for a specific reason. Do you have just a few minutes to chat? I am not talking longer than 2.5 minutes. Guys, if you're talking that long, you're done. My goal is to talk to 100 different people in 2 to 3 minutes. Not 2 to 3 people in 100 minutes. And some people will try to take your time. Some well-to-do meeting people will try to, oh, hey, Joe, what's up? Oh, and then they'll try to spin it on you. They'll try to sell you. I remember talking to this guy. He's, oh, hey, are you doing that? Oh, well, listen, I'm doing this marketing thing, and man, I would love to help your team with these ads. Hey, man, listen, Andrew, I'm really on a time crunch, man. Listen, I love what you're doing, but I've got to call you back because I've got another call that I'm missing right now. But let's touch base later. Blessings, bro. Boom. You got to know how to get off the phone with people that want to hold you captive. You're on a mission. But here's the phone call. I'm calling. Hey, Robert, I'm calling for a specific purpose. Is now a good time to chat. I'm getting straight to the point. You don't backdoor people. You do not backdoor. You don't call, hey, Robert, how's the kids? How's Sally? How's the grandchildren? That's backdooring people. So I'm calling straight to the point. Well, sure, Joe, what's up? Hey, Robert, I got to ask you a question. What do you know about stem cells? Now, again, we can say stem cells when we're talking to someone. We just earned the Stem Cell Innovation Award of the Year from the Biotech Awards. We're not posting stem cells. We're not doing that. But I can say, hey, what do you know about stem cells? And then I'm just listening. And then after that, I'm introducing the patch and sharing the vision. Here's all I shared with Robert. I said, Robert, so if I'm saying, hey, what do you know about stem cells? Whatever he says, I listen. And I said, well, Robert, that's why I'm calling you. I've been introduced to a technology. It's reactivating dormant stem cells. Here's the 2 stories that have already blown me away. Bam! I didn't have a testimony with my face yet. I had redness of skin, irritation, all that. My skin cleared in 90 days. But I told him Danny McDaniel's shoulder, he had a frozen shoulder, discomfort, it unlocked. And then I told him Carrie's mom, Billy Knatzer's story. She was on 13 medications with the help of her doctor, got off all of them in less than 9 months. And I told those 2 stories. I didn't have to embellish a single solitary fact. I was factual, but I was right to the point. Robert, here's what it's done. It's done this. It's done this. Bam. But I didn't finish there. Now I shared my vision, team vision, and corporate vision, and a strong call to action. I said, Robert, but listen to this. Because the testimonies are so life-changing, and this is a patented proprietary technology, here's what I see for my family. I'll be making, my goal is to be making $10,000 a month in the next 90 days. Why do I believe that? Because it's the fastest growing direct sales company on the planet. went from 20 million to over 600 million in 4 years, the Bravo Growth Award 2 years in a row. And because of that, I'm going to be helping 3 to 5 people earn an extra $3,000 to $5,000 a month in their first 3 to 5 months. That's my vision. Now, how you play into that, Robert, is I'm hosting a Zoom tonight at 8 p.m. And you're going to be one of the first people to see what I'm doing. Can I count you in? Bam! Now, if Robert asks me any kind of question, I don't have to know it. All I have to know is, hey, listen, I'm going to give you thisisatinfo.com. You're going to watch videos, patents, case studies. It's all there. But you're really going to find out more of how this all works out. And listen, by the way, this is a binary. So the people that I'm launching with, they're going to be in a more advantageous spot that come and join me, because I'm building an army, Robert. And I'm going to take this coast to coast. I'm going to take this across the globe. We're in 80 nations. But can I count on you to be there tonight? Bam! That's how my conversations were. They were quick, to the point. I shared my vision. I shared where it was very easy for me. See, you're not catching something if you've been in for a month or 2 months and you don't know the Lifewave story. You don't know that we were only 20 million in 2020. Last year we finished at 690 million and we've earned the Bravo Growth Award 2 years in a row. You're not catching it if you're still not sharing that, and you're not sharing your vision, and you're not sharing your team vision. Listen, our team, we're going to help people, pay for groceries, pay for their patches. But what I really see is 3 to 5 people earning an extra $3,000 to $5,000 a month, and really launching their business right away, right out the gate in 3 to 5 months. That's my vision. See, that was my vision. I wasn't making any claims. That was my vision. And you know what? Because I spoke out that vision, we had Penny do that. We had Charla do that. And we had Valerie get really close to doing that as well. I believe all three were at least 3 to 5. I know Penny was at $6,000 in her first month. So that is how I launched the business. Now, here's a bonus tip for you guys. You can't do this to everybody, but when you have some strong relationships, it's okay to get vulnerable. There were some people who I was vulnerable. There's only so many of those relationships you have. But I would talk to a couple people and I'd be like, hey, listen, Robert, let me tell you why I'm really doing this. Let me tell you a quick story. We just went to go renew our passports last week, and I got a little letter saying that I was denied because I was delinquent in taxes. I'm telling you, Robert, I'm never going to be in debt again. That's what really drove me. I had to go home, tell my daughter with tears in her eyes. She's asking me for mercy. She's asking, can you call the IRS? And that's why I made the decision, Robert, to get started. Because this is a vehicle that's not only going to get us out of debt, but it's going to change a lot of lives. And so, listen, I pray that you respect me enough. I'm not asking you for money. I'm not asking you for a handout. I pray that you respect me enough that if I'm so excited about this and believe in this wholeheartedly, I'm just asking for 20 minutes of your time to get on the Zoom so you can see why I'm so excited. Does that sound fair? You got to share your why with people. You got to share your why. I told my daughter, the other day after school, she wanted to go to this baseball game. And at first I was like, no, you have your singing lessons. But then I found out her why. Her why was, some friends were being mean to her, and there was another friend that invited her, and she wanted to build a new friendship because she was having a tough day at school with friends. And I told her, I said, honey, I want you to share your why with me. Because if you would have asked, hey, Dad, I had a tough day today, and I want to go to this, means a lot to me because my friend, invited me to this game. And it's very important to me that I cultivate some new friendships heading into middle school. And this is a very important time for me, Dad. I said, honey, that's your why. I said, now my heart's breaking for you. Now my heart wants to serve you. Now I want to, honey, let's go. Let me move the schedule around. Let's get you to the baseball field. I said, honey, you got to learn how to share your why. Don't just say, can I go to the baseball game? Why? Why do you want to go? Don't just share why you want to get on a Zoom. Why? Why are you doing this? You got to share your why. So that is the, thank you, Ashley. Thank you for all those It's not easy being a dad. It's not easy being a parent. It's the toughest leadership challenge. But you learn. So that's kind of an overview of the phone launch. Okay? And I'm getting as many people as I can. I think I had to call 160 people, phone conversations, to get 35 people on the first Zoom. And Danny did another Zoom for me, and I got like 27 people on the second one. I recruited 30 people in my first week. Made over $33,000 in my first week of getting people on packs. Premium, 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 advanced, advanced, premium. Boom, boom, boom. Can you guys see the magnifying glass? Can you guys see how I went all in? Can you guys see how look, I'm drinking kombucha right now. I had Whataburger 4 times in 5 days. Why? Because I was in the office calling, drinking Cokes, eating the Whataburger. Oh, and that spicy ketchup, the Coke tasted so good. Some of you haven't pulled out the magnifying glass. And that's okay because you're working according to your goals. But some of you that have big vision, big goals, your work ethic is right here. Your effort is right here. And your vision is right here. And that's why you have cognitive dissonance. And that's why things aren't adding up, because you're not putting in the work. I put in the work. I went all in. All in. And not only that, then when I got the people, then for the next 90 days, it was all out massive action. I didn't care who the Broncos were signing in free agency. I didn't care what was on TV. I didn't care what Fox News was doing. I didn't care about any of that stuff. Didn't care about it. I cared about my home, my 4 walls, my finances. That's all that mattered. And, Danny always talks about your faith, it's your family, it's your plan A. Then it's Lifewave. So that's the phone launch for you guys right there. And I can answer some questions here later. Now I'm going to talk about the Facebook launch. And my number one rule for Facebook is post more. I learned that from my friend Jesse. But you got to know what to post. So now let me show you. This is my good friend Cindy Lively, who's about to hit Director 1. She's enrolled 35 people in the last 9 weeks. Okay. And I helped her make this Facebook post. And you just can go to ChatGPT and say, hey, ChatGPT, make this compliant. You can tell them like what benefits you have. And then I took it to ChatGPT. And I had her make this. Guys, I did the same thing for Penny. Penny's business exploded from a Facebook post. Okay? And then let me show you what we did for Cindy. Okay, so check this out. Let me share this. So we share here. All right. First off, look how cute Cindy is here, smiling for the camera. You got to smile. That's what I told Penny. Penny was like, Joe, I don't post selfies. I said, Penny, I coach your kids. Let me coach you. I said, Penny, if you just post a picture of a patch, it's like people are going to scroll right through it. I said, so you have to make sure that you're smiling so people connect to you. Look at what she said. Look at what I helped her write. Sometimes the smallest things can make the biggest difference. I'm so excited to tell y'all that I've been wearing this phototherapy patch for about 3 weeks, and I personally noticed some really neat changes. I'm feeling more comfort in my hands, sleeping oh so much better, and overall just more lively. See that play on words because her last name is Lively. Energy and mental clarity throughout the day. Everyone's experience is different, of course, but for me, I've never been one to like taking pills, so I love how simple this is. You literally just peel and stick. If you're curious and would like more information, comment patch and I'll send it over. No pressure, just sharing what's working for me. Look at how many comments. Now what's key is when someone shares, I would like to know more, she commented messaging info. You don't comment on there. So she sent, this is at info.com. She also said, hey, I would love to get on the phone with you. Because that's the key, is taking them from the public profile. There's 3 buckets. The first bucket is this, where everyone can see. The second bucket is in the messenger thread. It's kind of like rounding the bases. Third base is getting on the phone. And then home is enrolling them, getting them to a Zoom, things like that. So you want to take it from Facebook friends to real friends. This is bucket 1 where people can see. Bucket 2 or base 2 is in the messenger thread. Bucket 3 is on the phone. Okay? Where you can send the order form and, get orders in. Bam. 35 people, guys. She's enrolled. That's a great example of a Facebook launching on Facebook. Okay? Next is an in-home meeting. An in-home meeting is typically when you're brand new, you're going to have your leader who is going to drive up for you, or they're local. And it's the same concept of a Zoom, but you're inviting. And I found out the best ways to invite to an in-home meeting or an event is the worst words you can say is information. The best word you can say is money, is vision. You're casting vision about where you're going. For me, I lead with the opportunity. I lead with vision, fall back on the technology. That's just me personally. I'm always leading with the vision. I'm always leading with the technology. And then I'm falling back on the vision. And great question. So I make the Facebook post, I have them make that public. And that if they want to keep it private, that's fine. But I have to make it public so other people on the team can comment on their post. Now, just to kind of wrap up what we talked about today, let's go back to steps for success, because everything that you're going to be wanting to go over when you're launching, it's right here. You want to study these. You want your goals. Excuse me. You want to know your goals, your why, the system, build a list. The first point, that sharing the conversation, tonality, all this stuff, all that stuff, okay? But what's most important, guys, is you calling people, and we'll role play right now. Robert, can you unmute? Or Dodie, are you able to unmute? Who's able to unmute? Dodie, you want to unmute?
We can let Robert unmute.
Robert. I'm calling my friend Robert right now, okay? And Robert, you can even ask me questions after. Ask me questions about the technology or science or blah, 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 whatever, to help people. So we're going to role play right now. Ring, 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 ring.
Hello.
Robert, how you doing, man? Good to hear from you.
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing awesome, Robert. Hey, listen, I'm calling for a very specific purpose. Do you have just a few minutes to chat?
Sure. Great time.
Perfect. Hey, let me ask you a question. What do you know about stem cells?
Not a whole lot. I've heard about them.
Yeah. Well, listen, hey, that's why I'm calling, man. I was introduced to this technology. It's a patented patch, a phototherapy patch. You put it on your body, it reactivates dormant stem cells. And listen, I'm blown away. Let me tell you about a couple stories. Danny McDaniel, he had a frozen shoulder. He put this patch on. The discomfort went away. His shoulder unlocked. What couldn't unlock in several months, unlocked in a week. Then my friend Carrie, her mom was on 13 medications. With the help of her doctor, in less than 10 months, got off every single one of those medications. Even took a woman's trip to Mexico this past summer. So, Robert, I've seen miracles. But listen to this. Because this is a blue ocean technology, because it's proprietary, and we're the only ones that have it, this company went from 20 million to 690 million in 5 years.
Woo.
Robert, it's been named the Bravo Growth Award, fastest growing direct sales company 2 years in a row. And because of that, here's what I see. My goal is to be earning $10,000 a month in my first 90 days. And, my goal is to have 3 to 5 people earn an extra $35,000 in their first 3 to 5 months. But for now, all I'm asking you is just to see it. Danny's hosting a Zoom for me. He's one of the top leaders. You're going to be one of the first people to see this. And I'm just asking you to hop on and see it for yourself. So does that sound fair? Can I catch you in at 8 p.m. tonight?
You bet. You bet. Glad to be on.
Awesome.
Interesting.
Yes, sir. And boom. Now, he was nice to me there. But Robert, ask me a question now. Ask me maybe a question where you have questions about the science. So, Robert, hey, it's tonight at 8 p.m. Central. You're going to be one of the first people. I'm launching this. We're in 80 nations, so I'm launching a global business. You're going to be the first ones to see it, whether it's the technology or the business. I want you to see it, so can I count you in for 8 p.m. tonight?
So how does this affect medications I might be taking?
Listen, we're going to cover all that. I'm just getting
Mm,
started, so Danny's going to be able to answer those questions.
yeah.
And I'm going to send you a link. It's called thisisitinfo.com. There's
Okay.
there's 15 pages of PubMed. There's the case studies. There's the patents. There's doctors' testimonials. Everything you need to know. But bring all those questions. Those are great questions. Bring them all. We're going to get them answered. Sound good?
So how much does this cost?
Hey, we're going to cover that. But listen, it's less than a cup of coffee. Isn't that
Wow.
amazing?
Yeah,
Less than a cup of
sure.
coffee that you can wear this technology every day. So the price point is
Okay.
amazing. But we'll cover
Thanks
all
for
the different.
listening.
Yep.
All right. See you there.
See you, brother.
All right.
Bam! You guys see that? Bam! You're just boom. You're rolling through it. You're rolling through it. So yeah, we can take a couple of questions now. Dodie, I don't know if you want to stop the recording now, or if you just want to keep recording, and we'll answer their questions.
We'll keep recording just in case we want to keep it.
Okay. Go ahead and read me the questions one by one, Dodie, and I'll get to them. The first
Well,
one.
I think the biggest thing that people are asking Joe, and I popped in and said something about it's more about being you and listening to the music, not the words, but people are asking for your script.
Yeah, guys, this is powerful. You gotta memorize the song. I can. All the leaves are all the leaves in the sky. I could just, and you guys can start humming that. I went for a walk. I was like, that song came out before I was even born, and how can someone can play that? So like, recruiting is a song. Recruiting is a song. So I could start naming some Eagles songs right now, and you guys could say, yeah, the song. You guys just haven't memorized the song. So it's not my words. Like I have a structure. I can give you my structure. My structure is I call people and I'm getting straight to the point. And I'm saying, hey, I'm calling for a specific purpose. Is now a good time to chat? From there, it's what do you know about stem cells? From there, it's I'm telling stories. I tell 2 quick stories. From there, it's the vision. I'm sharing the vision, where I'm going, where the company's going, my team vision, and inviting. It's the song. Y'all have to know the song. Right?
All right, Joe, next question. Would you address how you help brand new people follow up with those that their group Zoom or multiple people from a Facebook post when they haven't had experience yet with answering people's questions or knowing how to guide them to the best options for purchasing?
Yeah, that's a great question. Knowing who's on the Zoom is important. So having tracking people who's on the Zoom. So having a list, getting back with the person who hosts the Zoom and having a list. They could even take a screenshot so they can remember who's on the Zoom, and then they can follow up with them. And you're looking for who's excited. A great question to ask. By the way, we got to get back to this. After you have a Zoom, a great question to ask is, what did you like most about what you saw? Okay, hey, what did you like most about what you saw? When I'm having a Zoom and I do a Zoom for someone, I'm going to say, hey, after I present, all right, what did you guys like most about what you saw? And I'm looking for people who are looking for me. I'm looking people who perk up, So, and then you're following up with them by scheduling a 3, book a meeting from a meeting, bam, fam. So you're always trying to schedule 3-way phone calls. You're always trying to get people connected to your leader. I cannot take credit for my own success. Robbie Pearson, Rebecca Plant, Carrie, and Danny did a phenomenal job. Danny presented for me a couple times. Carrie provided great leadership. Robbie and Rebecca, those gals, I put them to work. And you know what? If you want your leaders to I want leaders like that. Well, bring the people, bring the fish, and they'll haul them in. I promise you, the one reason why you're not getting the help that you think you need right now is because you're not bringing the fish. I promise you, if you're on this team, there's no excuse. if you're on this team, I don't care if you're 7 levels down, you're connected to leadership where if you're lighting the fires, they're going to help contain, you're bringing the fish, they're going to help you bring in the catch. So you just got to follow up. I remember I heard Danny talk about it years ago. He said, guys, there's no perfect way to follow up. You just got to follow up. You just got to know who to follow up with. That's why I like the board of who got on the Zoom, so I know when to follow up with them. And yeah.
All right, Joe, what do you say to someone like Penny who tells you they don't want to do the business?
So that's good. I really don't even hear that. I'm just after results. So whether it's like, I don't even hear that. Like, okay, well, let me just get you results, and respect them where they're at. It's not that I don't hear them and I'm trying to have my own agenda. It's just that I'm saying I don't hear that and say, oh, this person's never going to do the business. Like 4 of my 5 top leaders said they didn't want to work the business. So you plant the seed and you water it and you fertilize it. With Penny, I planted the seed. You still plant the seed. So you plant the seed with vision and stories. I planted the seed with Penny. And then you fertilize it with what? The patch. Penny got on the patch and her neuropathy, and again, I'm not posting on Facebook. I'm telling you like I would be talking to someone. She said her neuropathy got 80% better. Her daughter's hip pain, after her daughter Candy had a baby, had nagging hip pain. The hip pain went away. And then her mom's early signs of dementia started to get better. So once I planted the seed and then fertilized it with the patch, I was like, Penny, do you want to get these patches paid for? Well, yeah, Joe, how do we do that? Well, we can make a Facebook post and then people will start asking and then we can help these people. Well, yeah, Joe, let's do that. So you just love people where they're at. You just need to, you have a field and you're planting and you're planting and you're planting and you're fertilizing. And whether they say they want to build a business or not, when people get results, they can't control that. They're going to want to share that. So that's how you go about that.
All right, Joe, next question. What would you say to someone who is a fitness guru, pretty healthy male, and did his research via Amazon review on the X39 and had poor mixed reviews?
Yeah, that's a good question. And so I would say you don't pay attention to reviews on the internet. Because every great company, every great hotel, every great experience that you've ever had before in this life probably has had negative reviews somewhere. It's like, I love the Windstar sailing yachts. Guess what? You can find negative reviews on the sailing yachts. I've only had an amazing time. Like I loved Solo Mio that just came out on the Angel. Guess what? It had some negative reviews. Who cares? Me personally, I believe in Jesus Christ. He's my Lord and Savior. There's some negative reviews on that. There's people say that he's not the Messiah. I truly believe he is. So I'm not going to base my life what other people say. And the other thing is I have a former pharmacist on my team, and someone just asked the question. They said, hey, why isn't there any peer-reviewed studies on this? And I was about to answer, and my pharmacist stepped in and he said, hey, he said, I was a pharmacist. He said, we're not a part of the Good Guys Club. He said, Big Pharma has a Good Guys Club. And this is a wellness technology. And we're not a part of the Big Pharma Club. Therefore, you're not going to have any peer-reviewed studies. But it's the same thing with when people say, is this FDA, what is it? The FDA approved. He's like, no, the FDA approved stuff that kills people. This is a wellness technology. You got to look at something real quick too. That I was enlightened to around 5 years ago. America represents 5% of the world, but we purchase I believe it's at least over 40% of all the drugs worldwide. But out of industrialized nations, we lead in obesity, stroke, heart disease, suicide, depression. We lead in all that. But yet, we're the most medicated.
Joe, I love that. Could I add one thing to that?
Sure.
So one thing I will say about Amazon reviews, I agree with Joe not listening to anything, but if they are reading Amazon reviews, most of those patches are counterfeit. So people did have a bad experience. And secondly, if you are looking at healthy, fit people and you want a great testimony, I'm on all the Zooms, so I know TJ McDaniel, it's in the testimonies on school, did an amazing testimony, not only as an athlete, but as a fit, healthy person. That is great to send someone who doesn't have any discomfort or anything going on in their body. So, okay, next one, Joe. How do you reply to someone who believes this is a pyramid scheme and is turned off by that?
Yeah, I would respond to someone. The first thing is, are they open minded? Because I would say, well, are you open minded and are you willing to really learn about what direct sales, what it is and what it isn't? Because what it is it's just it's a distribution model where people can earn income through means of distribution. And you can even tell them the story about Lifewave. Lifewave had contracts to be written up to be on the stores of GNC, but they didn't catch the vision of what this technology truly was. And then through a relationship and another relationship and a relationship, this ended up with the Olympic coach and the Stanford swimming coach, Coach Richard Quick, and Navy SEALs. And that's when our founder, David Schmidt, said, I'm going to use direct sales because this is all about people sharing stories and sharing stories. And so I would, if I had a choice, if people were really open-minded, I would say, listen, people have been burned in direct sales. There's been owners who were greedy. There's been people who did things that they said they were going to do and didn't do. Same with doctors. I just read a story about a doctor who was botching surgeries and, killing people here in East Texas. I've been burned before by insurance companies. So it's like, you have to understand that it's just people. And there's good people in businesses that have integrity, and there's others who don't. At the end of the day, go to Robert Kiyosaki. Go to Robert Kiyosaki and watch a video, the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And listen to the business of the 21st century on YouTube. He breaks down direct sales. He doesn't offer a single company. It's a general, but he talks about why direct sales is such a great opportunity to have a low investment, to build distribution, to grow in leadership, and to earn income and one day residual income that can pay you far beyond any job. So that's what I try to feel where they're coming from, because if they just had a bad experience, if they're truly open to it, and then I'll start trying to educate them on what direct sales is and what it isn't. But I don't try to spend time convincing people that just because their broke Uncle Bob had a bad experience and said don't ever join a direct sales, or because they were listening to some pastor and he says MLMs are from the enemy and only people on MLMs, because there's some people out there. Like, I actually follow one of these pastors, and then he went off in left field talking about MLMs one day, and I'm like, what? Obviously, you don't understand how many people's lives change in an MLM from personal growth and development, how many marriages are impacted, how many missionaries are funded, how many kids are saved from sex trafficking from all the money that's made from people in MLM. So probably shouldn't speak on that if you just had one bad experience from someone who is crazy, It's like, but yeah, there's a lot to that, guys. But just be open-minded, and I don't try to convince them. I'm not in the convincing business. So I kind of know where to spend my energy and my time, and I don't try to convince people if they've already set in their ways. Like, okay, but if they're open to learning, then I'll have a conversation with them. Yeah, pyramid schemes are illegal. When someone says, oh, they're a pyramid scheme. Well, do you know what a pyramid scheme is? Like, a direct sales company distributes goods, products, and services. And, if one person, sells, multiple people can earn a commission. But a pyramid scheme is you're enrolling people and there's no product or service, and then the leaders who claim that a product or service is coming take all the money, and now they're in prison. We actually have a good, and matter of fact, it's been named the Biotech Innovative Award of the Year for stem cell activation. It's proprietary. It's not like any other good. That's a protein or a supplement. Our technology is doing things that no other company is doing.
Yep. I think that's all the questions right now, Joe.
Awesome. And we're right on time. So blessings, guys. Hope you enjoyed this training. Go to work.